My name's Elyse Borne, and I was a dancer at the New York City Ballet for almost 14 years, from 1972 until the end of 1985. Very fortunate to have been part of the last generation to have actually worked with George Balanchine while he was still creating and still active. And I think I will thank my parents for having me at the right time so that I could be there during that period. I was born in Los Angeles, California. My mother was a dancer. My father was a brilliant pianist composer. He worked with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, amongst other people, film, and Balanchine adored my father. I think we took working with George Balanchine for granted. My experience during the time that I was there was phenomenal. I became an apprentice to the New York City Ballet right during the Stravinsky Festival of 1972, when he created so many masterpieces, and he was so inspired. And it was so fabulous to be in his presence when he was creating. He would walk into the studio and he would know the music inside out and backwards, and I think maybe had an idea about what he was going to do for the dance. But he really relied on the bodies that were in front of him and the personalities and the people. And he would come into the studio, talked a little funny like this, and he would say, "Dear, maybe you do something like this or something like this." And in 10 minutes, you had a piece of masterpiece. And he could make a ballet so quickly. And I'm now aware of it now that I stage the ballets and teach ballets, that the time that it takes to choreograph or the time that it takes to restage something is so vastly different, and it takes much longer to choreograph something from scratch than to take something pre-choreographed and restage it. Whereas with Balanchine, he could choreograph it probably faster than I can teach it. And I teach pretty quickly. It's just sheer genius. And we knew he was a genius, but we pretty much took it for granted because that was what we did every day. We walked in and we were in awe of him, of course, but that's just the way we worked, and that's the way we grew up. I have so many memories of George Balanchine, Mr. B, as we called him. And I guess my fondest memory is being involved with some of his masterpieces that I was in at the time, and having him use my body as a tool, and proud of the fact that my presence became part of that living legend, which hopefully will be a living legend forever, since ballets are works of art, but they're not sculpture or music on paper, or just as good as the dancer who breathes the life into them. So I'm proud of that, and I'm thrilled that I have the memory of working with him. And he also had a tremendous sense of humor, very dry, very funny, when you least expected it, because we all lived in fear of him. In addition to living in awe of him, we all lived in fear of him. He was our father, master, God, everything. So to get a kind word from him was just, the largest gift you could think of getting. Or to be criticized by him is just about the worst thing that could happen to you. And he always wanted more, there, more, bigger. And so we would try to do that. And one funny story that happened to me, I was Pierrette it was kind of a full-length ballet called Harlequinade, and there's two principal couples, and Pierrot and Pierrette were the second lead couple. And I was put into that and thrilled and wanted to impress him. And one day we were having the stage rehearsal, which would be the day of the show, and the set wasn't ready on the stage. And time is money always. And crew was there and everybody was there and we needed to go. So he just said, "Okay, we do your first dance from the first act." Okay, so Denny Lamont and I, the Pierrot and Pierrette, we do our first dance. Still not ready. "Okay, then we do your second dance from the second act now." We're sweating bullets and purple and puffed and exhausted, and I couldn't even breathe. Right into the next dance. And pushing, and trying to make it bigger and grander and larger, more energy. And we got to the end and about to collapse and expire and look at him, you know, waiting for the comment. And he said, you know, dear, less dance, more smile. So it was so funny, you know, and to try so hard and the dancing was fine. Not even, you know, focused on it was so funny. So you didn't ever know what to expect. You really never knew what to expect. But every day was a treasure. I would like to talk about Rubies because it is one of my very, very favorite ballets in the world ever, and it's one of my very favorite ballets to stage, and I have been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to stage it in many places. This is a ballet from the full-length ballet Jules, choreographed in 1967, Emeralds, Rubies, and Diamonds. It's the middle section, and it's the one piece of the three that really stands on its own very well. The other two, Emeralds, is quiet and demure. Not very many companies will do that on its own because he built the evening. It starts slow and romantic, and this one is quick and jazzy and sprite, and then Diamonds is grand, Tchaikovsky, Imperial Russia, which can also stand on its own, but does better as a closing for the evening of Jules. Rubies can go anywhere on the program. It can open, go in the middle, close, whichever. And so many ballet companies for many, many years have done this ballet separately on its own. And I was trying to think about how many places had I staged it, let alone how many other repetitors have said it in other places. And I made a little list of companies which I would like to read to you, because I have done this in little teeny tiny companies, and I have done this in very, very large companies. I've done it all over America and quite a few other countries in the world. Every audience loves this ballet. It's like, I don't know if you had the Sara Lee commercial. I'm dating myself. Sara Lee commercial, everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Sara Lee. Everybody doesn't like something, but nobody doesn't like Rubies. This is an audience pleaser, and it's also a gift to the dancers. It's so much fun to dance, and quite a challenge. Stravinsky music, lots of counts, lots of canons, that if you don't do it perfectly, one dancer is on one count, the next one will be on the next count, or opposite, one count apart, and if it's not pristine and crystalline clear, it just looks like a mistake. So here's where I think I have done this. I mean, I know I've done it in these places, and I'm thinking I have done it in more places than this. I have in the United States set Rubies in Miami, Cincinnati, Sarasota, San Francisco, Boston, Las Vegas, Seattle, San Diego, Washington, D.C., and Houston, and maybe more places. Internationally, I've staged it in Singapore, Zurich, the Kirov Ballet in St. Petersburg, Alberta Ballet in Toronto, Hong Kong, and Cape Town, South Africa, and maybe more places. That was off the top of my head. And what's the most fun and joyful for me is to see the same ballet in each company, in each city, in each nationality, the same steps, the same counts, and see the individual personality that that group will bring to the piece. I've had such a great time staging this in Oklahoma. The dancers here, I don't believe very many of them have done Balanchine before, a few. And everybody has risen to the occasion. And I think that they have learned this very quickly. I think they have enjoyed the challenge of the puzzle of the counts, the music and the steps, plus the quality, the jazziness is going to be required of them. Right now we're very focused on counting and being in the right place, formations and wheels and things of that nature. And I have enjoyed watching them enjoy the process. And I hope that they will have as good of a time performing this piece as I have had teaching it to them, or as I will have when I return for the performances. And watching them, I think it's a gift for them, it's a gift for me, and it's an international company as well. We have different nationalities, but we need to be a cohesive group, and we're going to bring our own special personality, Oklahoma personality, to the ballet.